In this class we're going to look at some of the basics of the World Wide Web, look at different protocols it uses and how it manages to operate and control itself, how it manages to deliver files and how it manages to communicate between different networks. So for a start, the most significant development of the Internet has been the World Wide Web. So the Internet is a connection of computers, and the World Wide Web is a more sophisticated and, if you like, user-friendly version of the Internet. In other words, the World Wide Web enables us to use it more easily, and in particular for commercial purposes. The web allows the users to interchange and interconnect documents using hypertext. So it was the World Wide Web that enables us to do a lot of what we now traditionally expect to happen when we work online and when we network online. So this is the big development. There was the Internet, and now there's the World Wide Web. Hypertext allows the users to create interlinked processes where one document is linked to another one through a hot link or a hyperlink. This hyperlink could be a word or a picture or an icon. And this triggers the link to another document located on another computer in some other location in the world. So this idea of hyperlinking is extremely important, because now documents can be linked together, and these documents can be separated by the world. One could be on the other side of the world, but the two documents are linked. And clicking on the link brings up the second document. So it's also a non-linear system. To get to the document on the other side of the world, we don't have to click on a computer down the road that in turn clicks on the next computer, and they keep on clicking on each other until it gets round to the other side of the world. Hyperlinks are non-linear. We click on the hyperlink and it jumps straight away to the document that we're looking for, which could be located, as I said, halfway around the world. The protocol that allows this to happen is called the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP. And we're familiar with HTTP when we type in a web address, http ://www. So we've got all the parts in place. We're telling it what protocol. It's the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and ://www, World Wide Web, and then we type in the address. So these codings, if you like, or these directions are very important in routing us to where we want to be on the Internet. Global hypertext publishing with HTML and HTTP. In the 1980s, the International Standard Organization released the specification of a Standard Generalized Markup Language, SGML. This was back in the 1980s. The protocol defined documents in plain text with tags embedded in the text to specify the definition. So, although it was back in the 1980s, a long time ago, it was also getting close to what we use now. There were tags that were defined within the document, and these were embedded tags which would enable the document to be hyperlinked. So it was the whole process had started a long time back. The Hypertext Markup Language, HTML, is a form of the standard generalized markup language. HTML is a form of this. The standard generalized markup language, which was the very early edition, it set out the parameters, and HTML was developed out of it. So the logic was tested out a long time ago, and then HTML grew out of that. HTML is a language used to describe how a web browser will display a text and retrieve it from a server. So HTML sets out how the web browser will extract a file from a server and how it will display this file. So it's a set of rules that the website contains, and the web browser finds the document, perhaps through a search engine looking for certain keywords, and then brings back the document and displays the document in a browser. HTML also allows documents to be linked one web page to another. So it's possible to have links within the document, and clicking on the link will take the user to a different website or to a different page in the document or to somewhere else. So it's possible to create links within the document. And it's also and increasingly used to embed multimedia objects within a document. So we can get a website that has a video embedded in the site, or a sound file. So HTML is proven itself to be very flexible, very adaptable in what it can do. To enable consistent transmission of documents on the web, HTTP was developed and adopted. Now it's a multimedia transport protocol. So this enables us to use multimedia within the web. It does not process the packages of data it transmits, but rather allows the users to search for the information or data. So this idea is that we type in HTTP and we look for whatever we're looking for, and it finds the document. It finds the particular package we're after. It doesn't process the package. That's done via the browser, or that's done via the code on the site. But it locates it. It also allows databases to interact and information to be manipulated, which is very important because a lot of information is stored on databases, and this allows us to interrogate the database, to use the databases and bring back information that is useful. HTTP defines computer links to the web when those computers support software that allow them to freely interact with other computers. So the HTTP protocol, it defines the links to the web and enables computers that support this software, it enables them to freely interact with other computers. So there is a genuine World Wide Web, one where computers can talk freely to each other. Now those that provide the links are called web servers, and they're the subject of a different class. But those that provide the links are web servers. Web servers simply provide the files. They don't write the files or process the files or do much work. They just simply serve up the files. They're servers. And this protocol defines the web within the internet. Web servers hold home pages and sites, and the transmission of data within these pages relies on the simplicity and speed of HTTP. So the servers hold the home pages and hold the sites, and the servers simply serve up this information as required by the browsers. Now, clearly, if the browsers are using a very simple system, for example HTTP, then that's very useful. It's very useful because it calls up the information fast. It's very simple, it's very fast, and the user has a good experience. The information arrives fast. In addition to TCP/IP, TCP is the Transmission Control Protocol, and the IP is the Internet Protocol. In addition to TCP/IP and HTTP, the Hypertext Transmission Protocol, the Internet uses other protocols. So there are several that are used to make up the World Wide Web. For example, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, SMTP, to enable emails, for example, to transfer between computers within an organization. So this particular protocol identifies emails and allows emails to flow smoothly within organizations, or indeed over the web, but generally speaking within organizations. There's Multi-Purchase Internet Mail Extension, MIME, to enable mail transfer in complex organizations. So different types of protocol to do different jobs in different situations. Now, web servers are computers that run HTTP and are connected to a TCP/IP network. So web servers run HTTP. They run this hypertext transfer protocol, and they are connected, I should say, to TCP/IP networks. So in other words, there's a standard that underpins all of the internet, and all of the machines using the World Wide Web have to collaborate. They have to use the same standard. The web address that identifies other websites and specific web pages is called the Uniform Resource Locator, a URL. So that is the web address. Now, when we type in a URL, when we type in a Uniform Resource Locator into the web browser, that's what triggers the whole process. And the URL is of the format that we mentioned earlier. The URL could be http://www.bbc.co.uk, which will bring up the BBC site. It is a means of specifying a resource by incorporating the protocol, the machine address, the path, and the file name. So the URL does a lot of things. It tells the protocol, HTTP. The machine address, well, the machine address is the IP address. But the IP address is quite awkward. It's normally sets of numbers with full stops in between them. So they're not easy to remember. So what we have instead is a domain name server that translates those codes into words that we can use. So the BBC will be a particular set of codes, 16 something point 102 point whatever, just a set of codes. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but we don't remember those, and we don't have to type them in every time. The domain name server simply identifies BBC, which is what we type in, and then assigns that IP address to it, so it enables the search to take place. So the URL contains everything that we need for the search. It's a string of code in a particular format, http:// www. It was originally developed by an English guy called Tim Berners-Lee. So he really is the father of the internet, or the father of the World Wide Web, I should say. He's really the one who set out how we can address information and how we can retrieve the information. So all credit to Tim Berners-Lee. Now, we also have the Extensible markup language, XML. The Extensible markup language, XML, is a data format for structured documents interchange on the web. So XML it's a data format for very structured documents. So XML does a particular job. It enables us to transfer very specialist documents with particular formats. A markup language is a mechanism to identify structures in a document. XML is a markup language for documents that contain structured information. So when the information is highly structured within a document, XML is the format that will be used. Structured information is common in most documents and has two elements. It has content, text, pictures, graphics, and so on. The role that the content plays in the document, the position of content element in the document, influences the meaning of the document. So when we think of structured information, we think of text, pictures, and graphics and so on, but they're not just thrown together. They are displayed in a certain way. They have position. They're located relative to each other to make sense out of the document. And that's what we mean by structured information. XML defines a standard way to add markup to documents, but it's different to HTML. In HTML, the tag sets and tag semantics are fixed by protocols established by the www consortium, which is known as W3C. This is like a committee that meets to agree standards. So HTML is overseen by W3C, and these are established for existing browsers. XML does not fix the tag sets or semantics used. So XML does a different job. It transfers highly structured data in particular formats. It enables the user to define tags and the structured relationships between them. XML is designed for applications, especially structured documents using the web. So here the user can define the tags. The users can set out the tags. And when the XML extension is read, when the XML part of the address is read, then the system, the browsers, the servers, they know that the structure of this document has been defined by the user, and the user should enable the readers or the recipients of the document to be able to access the content of the document. So they're highly structured documents. Active server pages, which are developed by Microsoft, allow the creation of dynamic internet sites by putting databases on the internet. So active server pages go a little further. Active server pages means that a database is stored on the server, and that the user, using the browser, can then bring up information from the database. So it means that the user is able to get access to the database and interrogate the database, query the database for results. Customers can search company databases to retrieve updated information, for example. JavaScript is another one which allows developers to add scrolling messages and data input forms to web pages. And JavaScript is generally easier than Java, which is another language. But JavaScript enables web designers to add forms and collect information from forms and to animate certain processes. So JavaScript has become an important language in the development of the World Wide Web, WWW. So in this session what we've done is we've looked at all sorts of protocols and all sorts of different parts to the Internet, to the World Wide Web in particular, the development of the Internet. And we've seen how these grew from the early days of straightforward Internet back in the 1980s up to very sophisticated processes now using different protocols, TCP, IP, HTTP, and the Hypertext markup language itself, going on to XML, and later on a brief mention of active server pages and JavaScript. Now, each one of these deserves proper study and proper consideration, and it's worth going back over this session again and making careful notes and then researching each individual part so that you are clear as to what is meant by XML or HTTP or whatever, and the job it does. That's all I'm going to do in this session. I'm going to leave it at that and say thank you for watching.